The chill of a Parisian autumn clung to the air, a damp, biting cold that seeped through the heavy wool coats of the early morning commuters. It was October 1976, a year marked by seismic shifts in global politics and nascent anxieties about the future, but on this particular Tuesday, a different kind of tremor was about to ripple through the city's underbelly. Orly Airport, a sprawling nexus of arrival and departure, a symbol of French modernity and international connection, was about to become the silent stage for an act of audacious larceny that would echo through the annals of criminal history. Not with the roar of gunfire or the desperate panic of a hostage situation, but with the calculated precision of a surgeon's scalpel, carving out a fortune from the very heart of the financial system. The target, a substantial shipment of cash destined for the Banque de France, a sum so immense it felt almost abstract, a mountain of currency designed to fuel the nation's economy. The perpetrators, however, were anything but abstract. They were shadows moving with purpose, their steps masked by the mundane routine of airport operations, their intentions cloaked in the guise of legitimate employment. This wasn't a smash and grab. It was a meticulously choreographed ballet of deceit, a testament to weeks, perhaps months, of painstaking observation and planning. The system, designed to protect such wealth, was about to be exposed as a fragile construct, vulnerable to the ingenuity of those who understood its weaknesses intimately. The initial aftermath was a vacuum of disbelief. The truck, carrying its priceless cargo, had vanished. Not hijacked, not raided, but simply gone. Imagine the unsettling quiet that followed the discovery, the dawning realization that a colossal sum of money had dematerialized from a place designed for constant surveillance and movement. The authorities, accustomed to the predictable patterns of petty crime and violent offenses, found themselves grappling with a phantom. The sheer audacity of the act, the complete absence of any overt struggle, made it an anomaly. How could an entire armored transport, with its driver and guards, simply cease to exist within the secure perimeter of a major international airport? The questions hung heavy in the air, unanswered, fueling a rising tide of speculation and, soon, a national manhunt. The media, always eager for a sensational headline, latched onto the perplexing nature of the crime, seeking a narrative thread to make sense of the inexplicable. This wasn't just theft. It was an insult to the established order, a challenge to the very notion of security. The lack of immediate leads, the apparent ease with which the thieves had slipped through the net, suggested a level of sophistication far beyond the common criminal. It hinted at an intimate knowledge of the airport's inner workings, its schedules, its personnel, its vulnerabilities. The moniker that would immortalize the event emerged from this vacuum of information, a darkly ironic nod to the era's glamorous icons. The Brigitte Bardot Heist, the press christened it, a name that contrasted sharply with the grim reality of the crime. It was a label born not from any direct connection to the famed actress, but from the thieves' own clever, almost playful, use of celebrity code names as passwords for their communication, a subtle gesture of defiance and self-awareness. This detail, revealed later, painted a picture of criminals who were not just daring, but intellectual, artists in their own right, albeit of a very different and illegal kind. Their method was a masterclass in logistical intelligence, a deep dive into the operational architecture of the airport. They had studied the rhythm of Orly, the ebb and flow of its daily operations, identifying the precise moments of vulnerability. They understood that security was not just about reinforced steel and armed guards, but about predictable patterns and human complacency. They exploited the trust placed in uniformed employees, the blind spots in surveillance, and the sheer volume of activity that could mask a meticulously planned operation. This meticulous preparation transformed a potential act of brute force into an elegant, almost imperceptible, extraction. The investigation that followed was a desperate attempt to pierce the veil of invisibility the perpetrators had woven around themselves. Detectives found themselves chasing ghosts, sifting through mountains of data, interviewing countless individuals, all while the stolen fortune remained stubbornly out of reach. The absence of violence, often seen as a hallmark of a less severe crime, in this instance, only amplified the frustration. It meant there were no witnesses to panic, no immediate physical evidence left behind in a struggle. The crime was clean, surgically precise, leaving behind only questions and a void where millions of francs should have been. This was a crime that blurred the lines, presenting a disturbing paradox, a violation of law so profound, yet executed with such apparent finesse, that it bordered on admiration for the sheer technical brilliance and intricate planning. It was a calculated gamble, a high-stakes performance where the actors had flawlessly executed their roles and then, seemingly, dissolved into the ether, leaving the audience, the police and the public, to ponder the impossible. The story of the Brigitte Bardot heist was not just about stolen money, it was about the tantalizing intersection of genius and criminality, a chilling reminder that the most ingenious plans can sometimes emerge from the darkest corners of human ambition, leaving an indelible mark on the landscape of crime. The pursuit of these elusive figures became a national obsession, a puzzle that defied easy solutions, forcing a re-evaluation of what was truly possible within the seemingly impenetrable systems designed to protect wealth. Investigators, sifting through the residual quiet of Orly, began to meticulously reconstruct the operational timeline of the airport in the days leading up to the audacious theft. This wasn't a general overview, it was an intensive deconstruction of routine, focusing on the granular details that usually went unnoticed. They examined cargo manifests, air traffic control logs, and internal shift rosters, searching for even the slightest anomaly, a ripple in the predictable current of airport activity. The emphasis shifted from what happened to how it could have happened, exploring the physical and procedural pathways the thieves must have navigated. This involved charting the routes of all vehicles entering and exiting the secure zones, cross-referencing them with personnel access logs, and scrutinizing security camera footage from every conceivable angle, often frame by agonizing frame. The process was akin to assembling an impossibly large jigsaw puzzle, with each piece representing a minute detail of airport operations, and the picture they were trying to reveal was the unseen choreography of the crime. Furthermore, a parallel investigation delved into the human element, not just as potential suspects, but as unwitting conduits. This meant delving into the psychology of the airport's workforce. The baggage handlers, the ground crew, the administrative staff. Investigators sought to understand the pressures they faced, the potential discontents, the subtle breaches of protocol that could have been exploited. It wasn't about assigning blame, but about identifying points of leverage. For instance, they explored how a disgruntled employee might be approached, or how a routine security lapse, born from fatigue or oversight, could be magnified into a critical vulnerability. The challenge here was immense. Uncovering complicity or even unintentional assistance required navigating a complex web of loyalties, financial incentives, and personal vulnerabilities within a large, diverse workforce. The goal was to map not just the physical access, but the social and psychological pathways that facilitated the heist. Consequently, the focus broadened to external factors that might have supported the operation. This involved scrutinizing financial records, not just of known criminals, but of individuals with access to specialized skills or resources. Were there any unusual transactions, any sudden influxes of cash that might suggest payoffs or funding for the elaborate scheme? The investigation began to consider the possibility of external orchestration, perhaps by organized crime syndicates or even individuals with inside knowledge of the Banque de France's security protocols for cash transport. This required a deep dive into the financial ecosystem surrounding Orly and Paris itself, looking for any unusual patterns in legitimate businesses that might have served as fronts or conduits for laundered funds or operational support. Now, consider how this applies when you face a crime that appears to have no immediate motive. Understanding the financial underpinnings becomes paramount to uncovering the true orchestrators. Building on this, however, a critical layer emerged concerning the logistical planning itself. The thieves hadn't just stolen a truck. They had seemingly acquired one and the means to operate it without raising immediate suspicion. This led to an intensive search for any reports of missing or diverted vehicles in the weeks preceding the heist, not just at Orly, but in the wider Île-de-France region. Furthermore, the investigation examined the acquisition of necessary equipment, the uniforms, the forged identification, the communication devices that enabled their clandestine coordination. Each of these elements required planning, procurement, and testing, suggesting a support network that extended beyond the immediate airport environment. It painted a picture of a highly organized operation, capable of managing multiple facets simultaneously, from intelligence gathering and personnel recruitment to material acquisition and the execution of the final act. Conversely, the sheer lack of immediate evidence of forced entry or overt coercion suggested that the operation relied heavily on deception and social engineering. Investigators began to explore theories involving advanced impersonation, where individuals with no legitimate reason to be in certain areas could gain access through carefully crafted personas and forged credentials. This meant examining the sophistication of the fake identification, the plausibility of the disguises, and the psychological manipulation that would have been required to bypass security checkpoints. The emphasis here was on the illusion of legitimacy, the ability of the perpetrators to seamlessly integrate themselves into the airport's operational flow, rendering them invisible by appearing to be precisely where they were supposed to be. It highlighted a profound understanding of human perception and the trust inherent in routine procedures. Reflecting on this intricate journey, the disparate elements of the investigation coalesce into a more defined, albeit still shadowy, silhouette. The initial shock of the impossible disappearance has, through relentless scrutiny, begun to yield to a starker understanding of calculated execution. What once appeared as a void of information is now illuminated by the faint, yet persistent, glow of meticulously laid groundwork, suggesting that the gaps were not born of chance, but of design. The phantom's elusive nature, initially baffling, now speaks to a profound mastery of systems, both mechanical and human, a deep comprehension of how to navigate the spaces between the rules, rather than simply breaking them. Drawing these strands together, we see the unfolding narrative transforming from a simple act of theft into a complex study of systemic vulnerability and human ingenuity. The initial focus on the how of the crime has inevitably led us to consider the why and, crucially, the who behind such an elaborate undertaking. The echoes of the past resonate not just with the specifics of the event, but with the broader implications of its success. It is as if a meticulously crafted key, forged in the crucible of foresight and patience, has unlocked a vault that was believed to be impenetrable, not through force, but through an intimate knowledge of its tumblers. In light of these insights, the path forward, towards a conclusive understanding, becomes clearer. The narrative arc has moved beyond the mere mechanics of the heist to encompass the broader ecosystem of its possibility. The lingering questions now pivot towards the deeper ramifications, the enduring impact of a crime that dared to redefine the boundaries of what was considered achievable. It's a testament to how, when planning transcends mere ambition and embraces a profound understanding of operational realities, the line between audacious crime and improbable success can blur into indistinguishability. As we pivot towards the final reflection, we are left contemplating not just the event itself, but the profound testament it offers to the power of meticulous preparation and the often unforeseen consequences of human ingenuity applied with singular focus. The cold reality of the 1976 Orly airport heist settles not as a solved puzzle, but as an enduring enigma, a testament to the potent fusion of meticulous planning and profound understanding. It wasn't just about the millions that vanished. It was about the blueprint they left behind, a blueprint illustrating how human systems, however robust, are ultimately fallible when confronted by a focused, intelligent adversary. The case transcended the pursuit of mere perpetrators. It became an object lesson in the architecture of security and the art of its subversion. The moniker, the Brigitte Bardot Heist, an ironic flourish born from the thieves' coded language, underscores the almost theatrical nature of their endeavor, a performance of deception executed with chilling precision. This wasn't a spontaneous act of desperation, but a carefully cultivated opportunity, born from weeks, if not months, of observing the pulse of the airport, identifying its blind spots, and exploiting the inherent trust that underpins daily operations. The true impact of this crime lies not in the unrecovered funds, but in the enduring shadow it casts over our perception of control. It demonstrates that genius, when directed towards illicit ends, can manifest with an almost artistic elegance, leaving behind not chaos, but an unsettling order, an order dictated by the planners. The absence of overt violence, often perceived as a defining characteristic of less severe crimes, paradoxically amplified the case's complexity and its lasting impression. It forced a confrontation with the unsettling truth that security can be breached not through brute force, but through the subtle manipulation of predictability and the exploitation of human nature. The sheer logistical prowess, the seamless integration into the airport's rhythm, the vanishing act that left authorities grasping at straws, these elements collectively weave a narrative of criminal intelligence that continues to inspire awe and caution in equal measure. Ultimately, the Orly heist serves as a potent reminder that true security is a perpetual state of vigilance, an ongoing dialogue between protection and the ever-evolving ingenuity of those who seek to circumvent it. The case remains a classic illustration of how meticulous preparation can render even the most formidable defenses obsolete. It's a stark, yet compelling, testament to the fact that the most audacious crimes are often born not of desperation, but of calculated brilliance. The lessons learned, etched into the history of law enforcement and criminal lore, are not merely about past transgressions, but about the continuous challenge of anticipating the next move, of understanding that the most effective deterrents are often those rooted in an understanding of human behavior, not just hardened steel. The true practice begins now, embracing the insight that the most secure systems are those that acknowledge their inherent vulnerabilities and adapt accordingly, lest they too become the silent stage for another perfectly executed vanishing act.